All right, I wanted to talk about this shooting that happened with James Holmes, and this little clip here talks about whether there was a second person that was involved. Whenever I see cases like this, I immediately start questioning the depth of it, trying to see what's really behind it, who's going to benefit from it, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get started.
It was supposed to be only just a fun night with me, with my friend, a good friend and I. I went into the theater, grabbed a seat, which ended up to be, I was sitting in the second row, probably 4 seats away from the right aisle where people usually enter from. Another guy walked in after me, sat in front of me in the front row, probably to the far right seat, and I noticed he got a phone call. Most people, when they get phone calls, they would take it out into the lobby, but this person directly went to the emergency exit. And on the phone the entire time, he was prompting the door.
That's amazing that this guy was so alert to pay attention to those things, and it's really going to be helpful. I think I'm not sure that we're going to get him as a witness because he's got too much information.
The emergency exit. And on the phone the entire time, he was propping the door open with his foot, and he was it looked like he was directing somebody to come towards his direction. And
That is an excellent witness telling us that there was two people involved, and one of them came in and propped the door open and talked on the phone while he's propping the exit door open. Now, surely everybody that's listening to this video that I'm making right now has been to the movies, positively. And of all these people that are watching this, maybe 100 or so, I would assume that of those people, no one has ever seen somebody walk to the back door and open the door while they're talking on the phone and hold the door open. If anyone has, I would love to hear from them. But this is just too much. Why was this guy holding the door open? What was the point of that? Why was he talking on the phone? So right away, my antenna popped up. I know that this guy's involved.
I didn't think anything of it at first, but after a while, once the movie started and my friend and I got situated, about 15, 20 minutes into the film, the back emergency door swung right open. I walked into the theater, probably 5'8", 5'9", wearing all black, and she was wearing a gas mask, all.
All right, this witness is really paying a close attention, and he really recognizes the height of this guy as being 5'9". So we know that the guy that was arrested was like 6'3". So obviously, this guy that was participating was quite a bit shorter. I mean, the difference between 6'3" and 5'9" is huge, and anybody could tell the difference. I mean, why would he even say 5'9" if he wasn't even close?
Armor. It had a rifle around his neck, and he threw a canister into the audience behind. And come to find out, once it exploded, it was a toxic gas. I wasn't too sure if it was tear gas, but either way, it was really hard to breathe in. Immediately, I went to the floor after it exploded, and then gunshots started taking place into the auditorium.
Corbin, let me interrupt you, and I hope you can hear me. I know it sounds like there's a lot of wind, a lot going on where you are, but you mentioned somebody sitting in the far right seat in the theater. The person on the phone goes to take the call at the exit door. Did they have the same build as the gunman? What are you saying?
Well, we know that he didn't because he just said he was 5'9", and the supposed gunman is 6'3". So there must be an issue.
Two different people or the same person?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So this person who you see on the phone goes to the exit door to take this phone call. The next thing you know, that this gunman comes in. Are these two different people?
If I'm making out what you're saying, yes, the person inside of the theater, yes, he went towards the emergency exit on a phone call, and it looked like he was directing somebody or looking for somebody to come.
So it got a little bit windy there, but he was pretty much saying, and I could hear it pretty clearly, that the guy inside went to the exit while he was on the phone. He gets the phone call, and after he answers the phone, so he obviously wasn't trying to be quiet for the patrons because the movie hadn't started when he got the phone call. Normally, if you're trying to be quiet for patrons, you would, walk towards the lobby, not towards the exit, and hold the exit door open. So we know this guy is obviously involved. If we don't hear about him, or if the media and the FBI and the police refuse to investigate that, sort of like what happened in the Oklahoma City bombing when we had John Doe number 2, who never was found, and there was plenty of witnesses to him being there. It just so happens that apparently he was not to be found. They didn't want him to be found.
Back of the auditorium, and like I said, within 15 to 20 minutes, the door swung right open, and the guy came right inside, threw a gas canister into the audience, and started opening fire.
Corbin, I'm going to keep this conversation going, even though it's tough for you to hear me and vice versa, but this is so important. Do you remember what part of the movie was playing when this...
Now, this is typical CNN, What part of the movie was playing when this happened? Like, really, this is so important to the news. I mean, what would we do without this information?
Walks in, head-to-toe armor and a gas mask. Do you remember what scene was playing?
The part of the movie that had happened was after Bruce Wayne was getting robbed by Catwoman. And then the movie was still playing for probably about 15 minutes more, be that correction, I'll say 10 minutes, and then the movie shut off, but the lights inside the auditorium were still dark. So it was kind of hard to see where the guy was or if he was still inside the auditorium.
So what he's telling us is the shooting starts taking place, and somebody, somewhere, turns off the movie. Maybe the bullets went up there and knocked the machine out. I don't know. That would definitely be an interesting information piece or evidence to find out exactly what was going on. Why would they turn off the lights during the attack? Wouldn't you think that if they were turning off the recording because of what's going on, they would flick on the lights? It seems like logical to me that they would turn them on, but apparently they didn't turn on the lights. They just turned off the movie, which would cause it to be darker, which would give the gunman an opportunity to walk right out the door without anyone noticing. Very convenient.
And it made things a little difficult to try to make our way out.
Did he scream anything? Was he shouting anything? Or was it all quiet? Sorry?
He didn't shout anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't make any gestures of anything. He was completely quiet.
He was completely quiet. Did you understand? I mean, did you think it was, I understand, a lot of people thought that this was, just part of the shtick, part of the movie, the gas. Obviously,
I even thought that.
Yeah, obviously you realize very quickly when you start seeing people hitting the ground that this is very, very real. How did you get out of the theater?
As soon as the gas canister went off, I immediately went to the ground and I started to crawl my way out. And as I was crawling through the second row to get to the other side, I could feel the shells of the bullets that were coming out of his rifle hitting the ground, coming up under the seats, and burning me in the leg. I could feel it.
How are you now, physically?
This guy is watching blood and gore all around him. The casings are bouncing, hitting him in the leg, burning his leg. I mean, this guy is right in the middle of this is it. This is as bad as it gets. It's amazing that he's still able to even talk about it, because at this point, most people would just be going nuts. Even after they've survived it, it takes, sometimes people take weeks to get over this kind of thing.
And I'm doing a lot better now. I'm definitely not going to recover from this overnight. It's going to take a little time, probably somebody to talk to help me understand what just happened.
Yeah, and we just heard...
Well, I could help you understand what just happened, but if I did, everybody would call me a Fruit Loop. But we'll find out. You know, things always come out in the over time. I mean, remember what happened at 9/11, 2001? It took months and months for most people to start to come to the conclusion that there was more involved than just some terrorist.
News conference, they're making folks available, as this is not something you just sort of pop back from. This is a horrendous experience for people to have to deal with. Final question. It's been 12 hours. What's the one thing that just if you close your eyes, the one thing that you just keep seeing over and over and?
Well, she's about ready to ask him what things keep going through his mind, but the thing that keeps going through my mind is how it is that 100 FBI agents were there within minutes. There were hundreds of police officers, hundreds of FBI agents out in Aurora. I mean, what are they doing there in the middle of the night? This same thing happened in Oklahoma City bombing and also in the World Trade Center bombing, where the FBI was available almost immediately. In fact, in those cases, we like in the Oklahoma City bombing, we saw a bomb squad vehicle in the parking lot early that morning before the bomb started or before it went off. So, you know, it's apparent that the law enforcement knows about this stuff before it happens. Either that or they are just so quick. You know, boom, the police are called, the 911 or emergency, they're on their way. FBI is notified immediately because there's a massive shooting, and all these guys jump out of bed and faster than the fire department can get on their pants. These guys are down there. Just these are questions that pop into my mind.
The first main thing I keep seeing over and over and over is the first moment that guy walked in. The second moment I hear is just gunshots and people screaming in the audience. That's what I keep hearing over and seeing over and over again.
So that is, you know, it's a horrible situation for anybody to go through, and I feel for the families, and I don't know what to do about it as far as, you know, how would we resolve this issue. A lot of people say that we need to remove guns from public society, make it so that people can't have guns. Well, we already know that the government can't control jack. I mean, they can't even keep drugs out of the hands of little kids. How do they suppose they're going to keep guns out of the hands of criminals? Really? But the issue for me is that we focus right now on how to stop whoever it is that's doing this. I don't necessarily believe that it's just some nutcase. I believe that it's much deeper than that. I'll go into that later in another video. But right now, my answer to resolve this issue would be to fully arm many people. In fact, I think in every movie theater there should be at least 5 or 6 guys in there that are just there watching the movie that happen to be carrying an assault rifle like a AK-47, an AR-15, or something similar that could penetrate the vest, because obviously a 9mm is not going to stop this guy. You know, maybe a 357 with a black Talon or a 44 Magnum or something that has the kick that would make it through. I don't even know what vest he had on. They've got vests that will stop just about anything, but I don't think that he had the what is it, the $100,000 vest or whatever. I think he probably had a $5,000 vest or cheaper even, and we probably could have got through it with a 357 Magnum. But if not, an AK-47 round certainly would have gone right through it. So, you know, instead of having carry permits for concealed weapons, we should have carry permits for AK-47s. I would feel very safe having 8 or 10 guys in the movie theater with an AK-47 hanging on their shoulder, it certainly wouldn't scare me. What scares me is that I have to go onto a property that bans firearms, like a college or something like that, where you're a felon if you carry a firearm there. I wouldn't want to go on those properties unless I absolutely have to, and I stay as short as possible, because that is where people get killed. Believe me, this guy went in there knowing that if there was somebody armed, he only had a little pistol or something. Certainly not an AK-47, because they're not going to let you walk in there with an AK. But maybe now we'll have that discussion. Maybe we'll discuss whether it's proper for us to allow our good people that have been verified to be good and honest people over the years, give them the opportunity to defend. I mean, imagine if that guy would have stepped out there with his assault rifle and his shotgun and all that stuff, and a guy up in the back corner had an AK. I mean, it would have been a matter of one shot. A headshot would have been the end of the story. And what we would be seeing on the news right now is young hero saves movie theater. That would have been the news. But instead we've got stuff like this, and the media loves it because they're trying to take away guns. So does the government. They want to take away guns. Look what they did with Fast and Furious. They were willing to give guns to criminals that they knew were going to end up in those criminals' hands. They were going to kill people with those guns, and that they would be able to use that as a ploy to take away these kind of weapons from law-abiding citizens like me. So that's why immediately when something like this happens, I don't have any faith in the government or the media. I have to dig for the information myself and find out what really happened. And my first thought is false flag. Good talking to you guys.